It's January 28th, JLD here, and welcome to MSTR Today and the Treasury Titans. Nothing in this video is financial advice, but Michael Saylor wants us to sit back and just be cool. Just be cool. Because, my friends, it is during these times that fortunes are made and lost, by the way. Those that are impatient for what's about to happen will not experience what's about to happen. And moving on to a great post by Rob I wanted to share on this point, which was lower Bitcoin prices now just mean higher Bitcoin prices later. If the market wants to give MSTR more cheap Bitcoin, I embrace that. This trip down below 100K, panicking lettuce hands to hand their corn to Saylor will be viewed as a gift in hindsight. If we are at 126,000 all-time high, that 40,000 Bitcoin that Saylor stacked this month would have been 25,000 Bitcoin, give or take. Think about that. That's a huge difference. Now, the market is that much tighter. So when it turns, it goes that much faster and higher. The turn and burn is inevitable. So if you are not stoked at Michael Saylor stacking Bitcoin at 95,000, at 93,000, at 90,000, at 88,000, then you don't understand the long-term thesis the strategy has in play. It doesn't matter if they bought at 93,000 when Bitcoin is 91,000 2 days later. No, none of that matters. In 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, none of it matters. All it matters is that Michael Saylor is able to stack significantly more Bitcoin in these ranges than he would in the 120s, the 130s, the 140s. So let's just keep stacking. Mike Alfred wants us to know it has begun. The US dollar index has dropped below 96. And by the way, this has always been a huge turning point in the world of Bitcoin. It's happened like 2 or 3 times in the past 15 years. And every time the dollar's dropped below 96, Bitcoin has gone on a massive run. So only time will tell. Strategy Maxi says 400 trillion addressable market. That 400 trillion will have to flow into Bitcoin. Bitcoin cannot do so without strategy. Strategy cannot do that without Bitcoin. Both together change the world for better. And again, many of you know this, but just for those out there, Bitcoin specifically needs strategy as a siphon of US fiat dollars into Bitcoin. In what way? Stretch. Stretch is siphoning trillions of dollars in the future, billions now, but trillions in the future of dirty fiat that's getting 1%, 2%, 3% into getting 11% and taking those dollars that were traded in for those stretch shares and buying Bitcoin. And it's a great graphic by Chris here that I want to share. Strategy MSTR is the business model. This is the business model in one image. When visualized like this, it's a thing of beauty. And I will say it is a thing of beauty. Here you have the bond market, which is $150 trillion. You have the money market, which is $100 trillion. You have the equity market, which is $150 trillion. So what's coming out of the bond market? Well, strife, strike, and stride. That's being siphoned out of the bond market. Because why would you own bonds when you could own one of these three? What's being siphoned out of the money market? Well, that's stretch. And what's being siphoned out of the equity market? Well, that's MSTR. And what's happening? Well, it's all coming into this thing called strategy. And then what is strategy doing? Buying the Bitcoin treasury, which gives a Bitcoin yield back to MSTR, so benefits the common shareholders. It's also putting money into a USD reserve so that it's paying dividends for these 4 instruments, and actually now 5 that Stream is kicking, STRE, which is based out of Europe. And so now strategy is also putting some money into this USD reserve to pay the dividends. And then guess what? Out of the USD reserve and the Bitcoin treasury, you have the Bitcoin derivatives, and that's all feeding this as well. And Chris is right. It's absolutely a thing of beauty. Strategy posted that this call, this is the earnings release date and live video webinar for the fourth quarter of 2025, will be live streamed on Zoom, X, and YouTube. Register now. You better believe I'm registered. And they actually asked for a question. They said, what questions would you like Strategy's management team to address? And I put down a question that I do have, and I hope they do address it, because to me, it's meaningful to know how they would operate with this, because I think stretch is such an unlock. But this would be interesting to me. I wrote, hi, I host a daily show focused on MSTR and have been covering it consistently for the past 16 months. Huge appreciation for everything you do. Could you walk through how the $101 redemption option on Stretch would actually work in a real world scenario, including when and why it might be exercised? So a lot of people are, including myself, are like, well, what happens when the demand is so insatiable for Stretch that Saylor actually has to stop ATMing Stretch at some point because he only can grow his amplification so big under the current structure. Like he can't just do unlimited Stretch at this point, which is why, by the way, he's ATMing his face off of MSTR the common to expand that capital base below to give more room for Stretch. But at some point, if Stretch just absolutely goes on a multi-billion-dollar per week tear, which it could, by the way, already had a $300 million week. I mean, $1 billion doesn't seem that crazy. It seems like it's in the foreseeable future. What happens if they have to stop ATMing? Well, that means the price of Stretch will just keep going up, 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 up. But guess what? Strategy, brilliantly, Michael Saylor brilliantly put in a $101 redemption option of Stretch to make sure that it just doesn't go to like 110, 120, because that defeats the whole purpose of what Stretch is meant to be, pegged between 99 and 101, and really pegged between like 99.9 and 101, and 100.1. That's kind of the overall goal. So I would love for Michael Saylor to talk through this, because to me, this is really interesting. And it looks like 25 people hearted this, which is good to see. A lot of people are interested in this as well. Hermé puts major bank partnerships, which I think is huge. We'd love to know more about that. But unfortunately, they're probably not going to be able to talk a lot about that, because until they announce it, they're going to have to be hush hush. So they'll actually be able to answer my question, I hope. They'll very unlikely be able to answer Hermé's question, just besides saying, yeah, we're talking to major banks. Strategy Maxi says, how much capital will be raised in dollars this year? Only got 5 hearts because, that's kind of a guess, to be honest. And then address the dilution allegations so people stop talking about it. And 43 people hearted that. So, some good questions. Are coming out of this. I'm looking forward to it. And I will be there streaming live and having a blast. Hopefully a lot of you will as well. Maybe we'll have a live streaming party like we did a couple calls ago. Adam says, if Strategy never buys another Bitcoin and the Mag 7 doesn't add any cash, this is using today's static inputs, 30% Bitcoin category, 6% inflation, Strategy eclipses Microsoft and purchasing power at about 1.87 years. Think about that. In just 1.87 years, Strategy passes Microsoft. And this is just with 30% Bitcoin CAGR, which is much lower than Bitcoin's CAGR has been recently. That lands around November 27, when Strategy literally has more purchasing power on the balance sheet than every company in the Mag 7. Because look what happens over years. This is obviously out to January 2046 now, but you can't even see the others. So here's starting in 27, going into 28, 29, 32, 33, and it goes all the way to 46. So just insane awesomeness. American Bitcoin has increased its total reserve to 5,843 Bitcoin and achieved a Bitcoin yield of 116% from its NASDAQ debut on September 3rd, 2025 through January 25th, 2026. Keep on stacking, boys. And here we go. Zinc says, imagine selling your Bitcoin just as powerful players are positioning and expanding their exposure. 2 examples, Eric and Donald Trump Jr. Run a company called American Bitcoin, which has more than doubled its Bitcoin reserve to 5,843 Bitcoin since NASDAQ debuted in September. 2, Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, said no one should be surprised that Bitcoin hit 700,000. BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF IBIT is already its most profitable product, and they've now filed to launch the iShares Bitcoin Premium Income ETF, which will be very interesting, by the way. Monetizing Bitcoin exposure via covered calls. I think I'll continue to add to my positions, and I will too. Chris says, MSTR is a triple IQ test. First, you need to understand money. Second, you need to understand Bitcoin. Third, you need to understand strategy. There's a very few people that understand money. There's very, very few people that understand Bitcoin. And there's a minute amount of human beings in this world that understand strategy. And just a huge congratulations if you're one of them that's listening right now. BitcoinTreasuries.net says, just in $12 trillion Vanguard Group's FTSE Japan increase its position in the Bitcoin treasury company Metaplanet to 818,000 shares, which is 2.62 million. So let's just say they are bullish. And Adam did the same chart for Metaplanet, which is Metaplanet's Bitcoin versus top 7 Japanese cash positions, using Saylor's 30% CAGR over the next 2 decades, but adjusting for purchasing power with 6% inflation. Will yen inflation be worse? Probably, which means this chart will even be more awesome for Metaplanet holders. Long Bitcoin, short fiat continues to be my investing thesis, and you can just see what happens over here. It's not quite as crazy as the strategy chart, but it's still crazy nonetheless. Here's Metaplanet growing, and just continuing to skyrocket. It's really 2040 when they hit velocity mode, which is going to be exciting times. So we have a very great clip of Michael Saylor you're not going to want to miss when we get back from thanking our sponsors. When you want more for your business, start with Northwest Registered Agent and get access to thousands of free guides, tools, and legal forms to help you launch and protect your business all in one place. Build your complete business identity with Northwest today. Your business identity is more than your logo or website. It's everything that defines who you are and how you operate, from what your customers see to what they don't, like operating agreements, meeting minutes, and compliance paperwork. With Northwest, you'll get more for your business, more privacy, more guidance, and more free resources than you'll find anywhere else. For nearly 30 years, Northwest Registered Agent has helped entrepreneurs form, grow, and protect their businesses. They're the largest registered agent and LLC service in America, powered by over 1,500 corporate guides, real people who know the local laws and can help you every step of the way. Don't wait. Protect your privacy, build your brand, and get your complete business identity in just 10 clicks and 10 minutes. Visit www.northwestregisteredagent.com/JLD free and start building something amazing. Get more with Northwest Registered Agent at www.northwestregisteredagent.com/JLD free. Michael Saylor just made an $835 million bet buying the Bitcoin dip. Right now, Bitcoin's fallen almost 40% off its October high, and the big money is buying the dip. What's your strategy? Now might be a great time to convert your IRA or 401k to Bitcoin with the help of Bit IRA. Plus, you can fund it with pre-tax funds, then continue to invest in it over time as you do any other retirement account. Bit IRA protects your assets with end-to-end insurance, highly secure storage, multi-encryption, and registered with the US government. Your IRA is fully IRS compliant. Best of all, you can trade crypto within your retirement account without incurring taxes on any buys or sells. Just go to bitira.com/JLD and request a free info guide. Once you do that and open your IRA, you'll get a free ledger. Bitcoin has proven time and time again to rebound, every cycle going from a higher low to a higher high. With Strategy's latest purchase, Michael Saylor clearly believes Bitcoin is at a discount. Time for you to get into. Go to bitira.com/JLD to open a tax-sheltered IRA in Bitcoin.
Right? Why is Europe struggling? It's like after you win, you decide you have to declare universal health care, universal child care, universal this care, universal that care, universal whatever. Like the idea that in California they're giving reparations to slaves. No one was ever a slave, and people that lived there never had slaves, and yet somehow we think we can right a wrong that took place somewhere else in the world to other people because we have infinite money. So I think that every empire collapses because people think they've been successful, so now they can expand. Mm-hmm. Right? And that's the most pernicious thing at a protocol level. It's the most pernicious thing at a city. When the mayor of the city says, hey, we're going to give free needles and free healthcare and free housing and free whatever and free Uber rides and free blah, 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 we're going to raise taxes to do it. And then everyone that creates the capital leaves. And then everyone that doesn't have any, that's a liability, arrives, and you've swapped out your productive citizens for non-productive citizens, and the entire economy collapses. Yep. Right? And did it happen in Easter Island? Yeah, it happened. I mean, they thought that they could create like large stone statues. It's like, how do 40-foot high stone statues contribute to the economy of a, Pacific island where we need fish to eat, my friend? We need the wood for the canoes to catch the fish so we don't starve to death. No, we will chop them down so we can create large stone statues because the gods demand it. It's like what you have is you have a tipped power structure. And that is my way of addressing what destroys companies, Danny. It's the CEO and the management team are successful. They're like, well, we've succeeded in this, so now we can do this, and now we can do the next thing. And now that we're doing this, we're expanding into this, and we're expanding into this, and we're expanding into this, and we're expanding into that. Why? Why do we do it? Because we can. It's a Napoleonic complex. It's like I got to spread my ideology and my ideas to the frozen tundra of Russia in the winter, and I'm going to kill them if they disagree with me spreading my ideas to them, because I was put on earth to do this. And so I think that my advice to any entrepreneur is focus and check your ego. And the reason I can do it is because I'm 60 years old, and because I was 30 once. I was a 35-year-old successful entrepreneur once. And as soon as I was successful, I came up with 10 more ideas. And each one of them was ambitious. And I split my energies and my company's energies 10 different ways. And what you realize is it's very, very challenging to do one thing well in this world. And you shouldn't get distracted. So we're not getting distracted, right? We're focused on an idea. It's a big idea. We want to create digital credit as the base layer for digital money. And if that one idea works, that would make us the biggest company on earth. What's the second best? There is no second best.